My name is Marianne Eden, and I am happy to share my presentation of front-end analysis to increase technology in early childhood education with you. As an early childhood educator and military spouse, I have had the opportunity to work in classrooms from coast to coast with inspiring educators who are dedicated to providing young children best learning opportunities. Along my journey, I was able to observe best practices of early childhood education while appreciating the differences in learning philosophies and curriculum that the different schools provided. One observation that really only came into focus recently due to the worldwide pandemic was the lack of use in technology in the classrooms. Sure, we use computers and iPads to research, document, take pictures, and even communicate with families. But how much of the technology in the early education setting is directed towards student learning and performance improvement? We are here today because as early childhood educators, we understand the importance of early childhood education in preparing lifelong learners. The shift from teacher creating the knowledge to embracing learning being relative to a child is a foundation of early childhood education. As personalized learning and the constructivist learning theory guides best practices in early childhood education, the need for technology to support quality education for early learners is gaining momentum. It is challenging to meet the needs of all students, but digital tools are being used to support educators in their role to have students reach their learning potential. While the benefits of technology in an early education setting can positively impact learning performance in children and bridge the digital divide, the knowledge and proper use of technology is an integral part of increasing learner performance. This presentation will illustrate research-based benefits of the use of digital tools in the early childhood classroom, identify some obstacles that are encountered when integrating technology in the classroom, and offer potential solutions to mitigate those obstacles of increasing early learner performance through the use of technology in the classroom. As early childhood educators, we are familiar with what is considered to be best practices in early learning. Best practices in early childhood education are rooted in the constructivist learning theory that is based on children actively constructing new knowledge based on prior knowledge and personal experiences. Personalized learning and recognizing the differing abilities and interests of young children are important in creating learning opportunities to build individual performance. Hands-on experiences where a child is actively involved in their learning by building with blocks, adding with manipulatives, and dressing up in dramatic play immerses them in their learning experience. Collaboration in early learning encourages students to build autonomy, build an understanding of differing perspectives, and work to problem solve and use important communication skills. And probably the most cherished is play. Play allows for children to develop creativity and exploration of the world around them while building their cognitive, physical, and emotional strength. It's how children make sense of the world, and it is powerful. While these foundations of early learning remain sound, our world is changing at a rapid pace. New digital devices, applications, programs, and software are being introduced daily. Digital classrooms and online learning are becoming more prevalent than traditional brick-and-mortar education in certain areas. We are now experiencing a digital world, and early childhood education must adapt to these changes in order to continue providing opportunities for young learners. Recognizing the need for early childhood education to embrace technology within the classroom and guidance for the use of these digital tools, the National Association for the Education of Young Children collaborated with Mr. Fred Rogers Center for Early Learning and Children's Media in 2012 to establish a joint statement on the use of technology in early childhood education. Guided by developmentally appropriate practices, the statement provided a framework for the appropriate use of technology. The framework was put into place to assist educators in determining what technologies can support proper development and learning and how to effectively utilize them in the classroom. Research has shown that incorporating web-based tools and interactive storybooks in addition to traditional literacy curriculum has a positive impact on increasing literacy performance. Recognizing the importance of reading fluency at an early age based on previous research connecting fluency proficiency to reading comprehension scores, studies explored interventions to target this specific skill. Interventions have been successful in bridging the achievement gap, and now technology is being utilized to target specific literacy skills to accommodate the needs of individual learners. Digital fluency tools were studied to identify the impact on fluency outcomes. The results from the studies found that students who received the digital tool intervention outperformed the students who did not receive the intervention support on a reading fluency assessment. While reading accurately and with speed is crucial in reading comprehension, exposure to more words and building vocabulary can increase reading comprehension performance in children. A main component of a quality early childcare program is providing children with a wealth of literature experiences to build vocabulary and knowledge. Researchers have examined the effects of using an interactive story-based program to provide additional support to a traditional literacy curriculum. These digital resources bring the stories to life by adding animation and expressions to characters through voice and actions. Researchers were interested to see if these digital applications would increase vocabulary knowledge in children of lower socioeconomic communities. The results from the studies showed that the students who received the interactive storybook-based program support in conjunction with the standard literacy curriculum had larger growth in expressive vocabulary compared to their peers who did not receive the digital intervention. Another benefit of storytelling is the support in developing oral and written language competencies in pre-literate children. While numerous studies have shown that exposure to literature at an early age strengthens a child's cognitive and language development, research recognized the growth of digital resources for early learning and studied the effects of including multimedia-enhanced storybooks in literacy curriculum. Researchers sought to discover if the multimedia enhancements of animated pictures, sounds, music, and games enhanced reading comprehension in early learners. The results of the study indicated that children who were exposed to the digital storybook outperformed the students who did not receive exposure to the digital resource on a story comprehension assessment. In addition, students who were exposed to the digital storybook were able to retell the story with significantly more details than the group who did not receive exposure to the digital version of the story. Literacy and oral language development achievement gaps are not the only skills that early childhood education seeks to close. Increasing math skills at an early age not only builds a foundation of continued math success in later years, but it also further develops a child's problem-solving skills. The use of interactive math apps in conjunction with hands-on traditional early math curriculum has shown to increase these vital skills. Although computers have been used to provide math support for students for some time, Researchers recognized that touchscreen devices are being used by young children. The researchers studied the impact of touchscreen and computer technology on early childhood numeracy skills among kindergarten students. The results of the study indicated that students who utilized the tablets to support learning scored higher than the children who used the computer support and the other students who did not receive additional digital support. Other research saw the opportunity to study the impact of early childhood apps on math achievement in hopes to support meeting individual needs of students to build a strong foundation in early math skills. The children who used the math apps that targeted specific concepts performed 3 to 4 months ahead of the students who did not participate in the digital program on the standardized assessment. While these studies show the support of educational technology in the early childhood classroom in building traditional skills of literacy and math, incorporating technology into early learning can be a challenge. The results of the studies indicated the growth in student achievement through the use of digital interventions in literacy and math. But all of the studies referenced a need for proper application and knowledge of digital tools. Proper integration of technology is especially important in early childhood education. The goal of early childhood education is to foster a love of learning and utilize the early years of learning to promote skills in children to build their individual performance to the highest levels. Alone cannot foster a love of learning and increase performance. Perhaps one of the most well-known early childhood educators who adopted technology to build curiosity, character, and capacity to learn was Mr. Fred Rogers. As a child development expert, Fred Rogers saw the power of technology to build the values of early education, but also recognized its limitations. As Mr. Rogers once said, "A computer can help you learn to spell hug, but it can never know the risk or the joy of actually giving or receiving one." The person-to-person, hands-on, hearts-on element in learning remains a paramount consideration. A quality organizational support system has to be in place in order for a child to reach their full potential. While researching attributes of high-quality early child care programs, researchers in the Practice Improvement at the Ounce of Prevention Fund found that strengthening organizational supports increases quality education. They developed 6 essential conditions to support quality early childhood education: effective instructional leaders, collaborative teachers, involved families, supportive environment, ambitious instruction, and parental voice are the essential conditions that support and strengthen each other. These components work together to create a quality environment for a child to increase their performance. The educator has a crucial role in setting a child up for success. Research has been conducted to discover the impact of an educator on student achievement. After analyzing the data, the results from the study indicated that student improvement gradually increased with quality teaching. Educators who utilized effective teaching strategies motivated students to perform beyond expected levels. Take a look at this photograph. What are your thoughts that come to mind when you look at this picture? Maybe you are questioning, why is this young child on an iPad? Why is this child alone on an iPad? Perceptions are powerful. Similar to an educator's instructional strategies shaping student performance, and educators' perceptions can impact a child's achievement. Even with evidence supporting technology use contributes to higher performance results in children, negative educator perceptions of digital use in the early childhood classroom can inhibit the full potential of student achievement. The well-being of the child is the focus of early education, while an educator's role is to promote healthy development. Because there have been conflicting views on the effects of technology on young children's social and cognitive development, many educators are reluctant to embrace technology in the classroom. Studies finding negative effects on student habits and behaviors make educators wary of moving away from the traditional practices of play-based, collaborative, hands-on learning. While many teachers recognize the importance of using technology in our society, they disagree with it being used in the classroom and prefer children to play with peers and engage in outdoor play. Research has shown that early childhood educators struggle to adapt to a change in pedagogical approaches, and it makes it difficult to incorporate modern practices due to already formed strong beliefs and opinions. The perceptions of not being useful, harmful for development, and limiting play produces a reluctance for the incorporation of technology for effective learning and support. Who can relate to this image? Technology can be intimidating, especially when an educator does not have a foundational knowledge of technology, so competency counts. While children are preparing to adapt to this digital age, empowered by technology and knowledge, an educator who lacks foundational knowledge in technology will be more reluctant in using it to support learning in the classroom. Although digital devices are weaving their way into every aspect of our lives, many people, including educators, do not find themselves to have extensive knowledge of technology. Studies have explored self-efficacy towards technology use among pre-service educators and found a varying degree of beliefs in competency towards technology. Differences in educational degrees and opportunities to use technology impacted the self-efficacy in the participants of the studies. Building on that research, studies have examined the effects of instructor self-efficacy beliefs on technology integration. The research found that the participants who had higher self-efficacy beliefs integrated technology more frequently and effectively than those who did not have strong self-efficacy beliefs. From shopping for clothes, food, music, to managing cart maintenance and communication with students and teachers, there seems to be an app for just about everything. In addition to internal teacher attitudes and competencies of technology, the digital resources can pose additional problems with integration into the classroom. Quality early childhood programs and educators spend countless hours researching curriculum, materials, and resources to ensure that they meet standards of excellence in content and safety. The overwhelming plethora of digital materials can add to the negative perception of technology while attempting to decipher the educational value of digital programs. Digital technology seems to be growing by the day, and it has a tremendous impact on the early childhood learner, with over half of the educational apps directed towards preschool-age children. Though years of research went into establishing developmentally appropriate practices for early learning, there was a need to research the alignment of best practices and content in available digital applications. Researchers analyzed top-ranking educational apps for preschool-age children. They found that the apps used teaching techniques, but many were not developmentally appropriate for young children. based on the extensive research on how young children best learn, the digital apps lack the teaching tactics of modeling, feedback, scaffolding, and adaptive challenges. These are all real challenges that face early childhood education while incorporating technology into a learning experience. Although challenges may be difficult to overcome, it is vital that early childhood educators grow their understanding, embrace, and utilize technology to build our future generations of digitally literate learners. In order to overcome this implementation gap of technology use in early education, we must utilize a front-end analysis to evaluate these obstacles that early childhood educators face that impact their ability to use technology to support higher learning performance. Being able to identify this performance discrepancy will assist in determining not only solutions that will work, but solutions that will work best. When referring back to organizational elements that create a quality early education environment, collaborative teachers is one piece of the framework. The other 5 elements of effective instructional leaders, parent voice, ambitious instruction, supportive environment, and involved families strengthen the educator component to produce strong learning outcomes. These building blocks together form a strong foundation of successful learning for all children. Remember the problem with negative perceptions? The use of front-end analysis can uncover that although teachers may use technology in their own lives, they don't always understand the benefits for early childhood education. To address the issue of negative perceptions in using technology to support early learning, it is important for early childhood programs to provide opportunities for educators to learn how research is uncovering ways to incorporate technology in developmentally appropriate ways. After completing a study on teacher perceptions on technology use in early childhood education, the researchers suggested training support and pedagogical orientation should be provided for early childhood teachers to enable them to address constraining factors influencing the effective integration of technology use in teaching and learning in early years. Researchers are encouraging more dialogue to better understand the value of technology, and that is becoming an essential component for integrative educational processes, which are constantly changing. The goal of this intervention is to foster a better understanding of the impact of technology and how it can be used to strengthen the best practices of early childhood education. We have all experienced technical issues at some point in our lives. While some educators may be well-versed in the use of digital devices, there are educators who experience uncertainty and possibly fear when using technology. A front-end analysis can identify this issue. Increasing self-efficacy in the use of technology among early childhood educators is another challenge in facilitating the use of technology in the early educational setting. Collaboration between educators and support from instructional leaders can stimulate ambitious instruction to incorporate technology in traditional best practices. When finding various degrees of self-efficacy in technology use among teachers, researchers suggested that collaboration can give teachers more opportunities to see successful beliefs towards technology integration and see those practices in action. In addition to collaboration, if an expectation is placed on educators to use technology as a tool to increase learning performance in students, educational support and instruction in methods of use is necessary. If opportunities for collaboration are provided, Educators can work with each other to stimulate new ways of integrating technology and mentor each other to build the confidence that is needed. As educators, we have a lot on our plate, from lesson planning to data collection, from meeting with parents to motivating our students. Our days, both in the classroom and out, are packed. The idea of adding a research of digital tools and applications can be overwhelming and may lead to resentment towards using technology in the classroom. A front-end analysis can indicate a need for support in this area. As some research discovered, not all digital programs that are designed for education of preschool children align with developmentally appropriate practice or meet the needs of all learners. Studies have shown that the process of identifying appropriate digital programs and apps was time-consuming and overwhelming. The investment of that time and resources is imperative, as is the need to expand access to, understanding of, and the implementation of those resources. Guidance for early childhood programs and educators must be provided to ensure quality and safety when using digital tools for support. One such example is Common Sense Media, which is designed to assist educators in selecting appropriate media. Communication among educators and instructional leaders remains essential to create the effective environment to implement proper use of technology to support student learning. This intervention can lead to more time spent effectively utilizing digital tools to assist early learners in the classroom. Quality preschool education has emerged as an important step on the path of lifelong learning. It must now extend beyond literacy, math, and social emotional development skills to include digital literacy to prepare young learners for our digital world. After researching the use of digital tools in early learning, there are many contributing factors that can be responsible for not properly utilizing technology in the classroom. These obstacles must be identified and overcome. The role of the educator was the focus, but recognizing the organizational factors, we must also analyze the essential supports beyond the educator in adopting technology to support early learning performance improvement. To return to Mr. Rogers' hug metaphor, it is not enough to recognize the existence of technology's role in early childhood education. We must experience the risk and joy of actually embracing it. Thank you.